everyone. Welcome to Fire and Flavor. My name is Matt, and today I am talking to Ryan from Horrifying Hot Sauce out of Denver, Colorado. How's it going today, Ryan?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for giving me some of your time, dude. I really love your Instagram. It piqued my interest almost immediately.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So, what led you into this spicy adventure, man, between hot sauce and horror movies?
Uh, so I've always grown my own peppers. I've done, well, not always, but for quite a long time, I've grown my own peppers and I've always enjoyed spicy food. When I grew up, my parents' best friend was Cajun, so I got their food and really kind of fell in love with it early on. I've also really enjoyed fermentation and the science of fermentation. So I was trying to open a brewery for a long time, and that didn't work out. And then I discovered I could do fermented hot sauce and I could do it by myself.
Uh,
So decided to do that and started the company with I'm literally the only employee. So
that's pretty bomb. So
yeah,
how
it
are
is
the
until it isn't.
yeah, right, until it's too much work.
Right.
um What are the laws like out in Colorado to make your own sauce? Do you have to rent a kitchen or do you have to,
Mhm.
can you do it? Yeah, you have to rent a kitchen out there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started in Texas, and in Texas you could do what's called cottage law sales.
Yeah.
So I could sell hot sauce I made out of my kitchen in Texas as long as I sold it directly to the final consumer. So like I couldn't sell it online.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I see.
yeah, I had to hand it to the customer was their rule, which is I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
Here in Colorado, they don't do fermented foods under cottage law at all. So I couldn't even, just do like markets if I wanted selling it from my kitchen. So I had to, in order to get my food manufacturer's license, I have to have a commercial kitchen and have proof that I'm using a commercial kitchen to do all my stuff. So,
Yeah. They were strict about it here where I live in New Hampshire for a long time. And actually, so like I tried to do a hot sauce company a few years ago, and that was my biggest hang up. Here was finding a commercial kitchen. And then I guess I found this out last night that they changed the laws in my state so I can actually do it as long as like it's kind of weird though, right? So you have to go through the whole like state rigmarole and
mhm.
then, but that inspector actually has to come to your house and your kitchen.
Oh,
It's really,
interesting.
yeah, I thought that was weird because you couldn't do it like, like cottage rule or whatever here, but they call it homestead here. Um, but like you couldn't do it for the longest time. And there's a lot of like, I don't know, just like BS hoops you had to go through for something fairly simple, but I guess I get it. You don't want like dogs and cats, their dirty buttholes running around while you're
Sure.
making food,
And you got to be careful with food and
Yeah,
fermented food.
yeah, yeah.
It's not it's not that bad. It's not that dangerous compared to some other things, but you have to do it right. So you don't want to give anybody a bad bottle. So
Right. Of course not. You don't want people getting sick and suing you.
right, of course.
What got you to like think you needed to combine horror movies and hot sauce together?
Um, so I've always been a big movie fan, as you can probably see by
Yeah, dude.
um, and specifically horror. I love all genres, but horror is probably, well, definitely my favorite. I was a filmmaker for a long time and was still attempting to be. Um, and when I was working on the idea of a hot sauce and I realized, I'm gonna need my own labels, I was like, well, why don't I use horror movies? It's a subject I know. I haven't seen it out there. Since then, I found a couple other companies that do something similar, but there's not many. And at the time, I didn't know of any because I started this back in, let's see, made my first bottles in probably 2018, um, or 2019, somewhere in there. It was before pandemic, was when I started on this. So um, decided that that would be a great way I could combine two things that I really like. And then also I've also been an artist my whole life. So in I think it was Christmas of 2019, I got an iPad and set up some art software in there and just started messing with it. And then I realized, oh, I can put all these things together that
Yeah,
I really like doing into one product. So that's kind of where it came from in the first place, was just
that's
combining stuff I like.
that's dope. And you do all your stickers and stuff too.
I do, like I said, I am my only
That's
employee, so I
awesome, bro.
do the artwork, the graphic design, the website, the yeah. Literally the only thing that's been done by other people is I've had a couple volunteers at a couple events selling stuff. My wife has written the expiration date on, a few bottles.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's about it.
Other than that, one may not. And I actually just I
Yeah.
had thank you for the sticker, by the way,
Sure.
dude. I love stickers. Not enough people send me stickers.
Oh
So
yeah.
if anyone is gonna be on my show, if you have stickers, please send them. But all the artwork's super dope, dude. Um, and I also do love horror movies. I think the cheesier the better, even though I think it's very clear to me that your knowledge of horror movies is way vast beyond mine. But I love all the cheesiest ones. Like we chatted a little bit about Troll 2. I
Mhm.
love Dead Alive. It's
Mhm.
probably my favorite. Evil Dead,
Yeah.
obviously. I have like a Necronomicon on
Yeah.
my arm.
I see that.
Um, so like I don't know. I thought we would have a lot of fun talking about horror movies and hot sauce because it's both something we love and
Yeah.
watching. So let me reference something real quick. Let's see, what is it? Buffet for Shitar is one of the sauces you gave me, and it's from the movie Blood Diner. And I started watching it this morning. I'm gonna finish it later, and very hysterical and over the top from like the 35 minutes of it I watched. It's awesome, dude.
Oh, it gets
Uh,
better too.
I bet. So I actually, speaking of horror movies, you said that you are a director or want to be make films. You're saying
Mhm.
so.
I've made films in the
Okay.
past, and I'm working on making films again in the future, hopefully this year. So,
I did a little deep dive because I want to do my homework on you and stuff, not to be like creepy. But did you make a movie in the early 2000s, or was that something you just referenced? The Taste of Flesh, is that
the
something you
Stink
did,
of Flesh.
or the Stink of Flesh? Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a movie that I make the official hot sauce for.
Okay.
Um, and my friend Scott directed that. I worked on his couple movies he made after that one.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. I watched the trailer for it and I was like, this is like right up my alley. It's so like I love it. It's so cheesy. You can tell it's like low budget and I love that kind of stuff, man. It's like really homemade, but I could tell he put a lot of work into it for what he had going on. That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, it's had a big impact in like Albuquerque where they made it. A lot of people there are very
Hmm.
familiar with it. Honestly, it's gotten released all over the world. There's even a European version that was made in 3D.
Oh,
So,
really? In
yeah,
3D? That's pretty
yeah, they
funny,
released it
man.
in 3D. So,
I love that,
yeah.
dude. So you said you've been doing this since what, 2018? What
28
was,
either end of 2018, beginning of
yeah,
2019, somewhere in there.
what was like the first sauce that you made for your company?
Well, the first sauce that I made was literally just the peppers that I had ripe at the time when I
Yeah.
decided to do. The first one that I made for my company was probably an early version of the burning, or it would be either the burning buffet for Shitar or Profondo Rosso. Those were my kind of three that I started with when I started actually trying to make recipes.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I have pretty much one of the OGs here, the
Yeah.
buffet for Shitar.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, so
gotta
that one came
like, oh
about
man.
because the first batch I made looked like blood.
Yeah,
The color perfect on there, and I had literally watched Blood Diner the night before. So I was like, well, we have to have the buffet for Shitar.
I really like the ingredients in it too, man. You have some pretty like plums, that's so interesting, and blackberries.
Mhm.
I don't think I've seen either of those in a hot sauce before, and you use them in a couple of your hot sauces,
I
right?
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
all my
so cool.
sauces are all natural ingredients. Like you can read them all. There's no
Yeah.
preservatives or fillers or any of that sort of emulsifiers or anything like that. So there's no added sugar. There's sugar in some of the recipes, but there's no sugar to cover chemical tastes.
Right, right.
And then yeah, I like using a lot of variety of kind of different stuff. I
Yeah.
have a few sauces that are more traditional, just peppers and garlic and stuff.
Mhm.
But I also, with the years of doing the beer brewing, I used to brew sour beers, and it's the same basic um, chemical reaction for brewing a sour beer as it is for fermenting a hot sauce because you're using lactobacillus and you're using wild yeasts.
Yep.
So I kind of had an idea of how fruits played in those flavors before I got into it. So then I wanted to bring fruit flavors into it. But the thing with a lot of my sauces, people look at it and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be super sweet because it has all these fruit listed."
Right.
But I ferment the fruit, so a lot of the sugar comes out.
Right.
And in some of them, I backfill with some fresh at the end when I blend it, just to make sure that it's got the brightness and the flavor that I
Yep.
want. But none of my sauces are super duper sweet,
Cool.
even though some of them have tons of fruit in them. So,
Yeah, but like you said, the fermenting kind of takes that
mhm,
sweetness out. And a lot of the times fruits are added just for natural sugars, hence
mhm,
why you don't need to use real, like granulated sugar or anything. And
right.
let's go back a little bit and talk. You said used to brew beers,
Mhm,
and one of the sauces that I picked up from you, Monolith Yellow, it's a collaboration with your company and Monolith Brewing out of Denver,
correct.
correct?
Right.
So how did you link up with them?
So when I first moved up here, and I was attempting to do a brewery, I had gotten in touch with a real estate guy up here that specifically focuses on, restaurants and space like that. And he put me in touch with Steven, who is the owner of Monolith. And at that time, Monolith didn't exist yet either. He was also getting it going, but this is his third or fourth brewery he's opened over the years. So, like, he has a history and experience. So the real estate guy kind of put us together so that I could ask him questions and pick his brain. And he's just a great guy. So we ended up hanging out and, spending some time together. And then when he got his store going, or his brewery going, they serve empanadas from a restaurant right down the street as their house food. So he wanted hot
Nice.
sauce with them. So I ended up making him two hot sauces that are his house hot sauce. So if you go there, you can get like a little, cup of it sort of thing. Or you can buy the bottle, obviously. And to make them kind of easy, we did them as versions of other sauces. So
Ooh.
Monolith Red is a kind of an Americanized sriracha sauce, which is a version of my sauce Sriracha, which is my Americanized sriracha sauce, except he wanted it a little bit spicier. So we kicked it up a little bit. We added some habaneros and stuff like that. And then Monolith Yellow is a version of my sauce called Momo, which is um, mangoes and a pepper from South America called manzano, and that's it. It's mango, manzano, brine, and vinegar. So it's the most basic sauce I
Yep.
make. But I love manzano peppers, and most people have never had them or
I
even
like
seen them.
Manzanos, man. Those are bomb.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. They just have a different flavor than anything else. They actually chemically have a different kind of capsaicin than most other peppers do, so they hit different people differently, which is interesting. Um, so he wanted again a version of that, but a little bit spicier. So I took my Momo sauce and then I added fermented lemon and habanero. So that's the one you have there,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was looking at your website and I saw Momo and I saw that creepy face. It was so
right?
funny, dude. That's from a copy pasta, isn't it? Or creepy
Yeah, it
pasta.
is. Yeah.
That's funny, dude. I wanted
Yeah,
to
that one came about just because it's mango and manzano, and those both
yeah,
begin and end with MO.
yeah.
So
No, it only makes sense, man. That's so
yeah,
good.
and it's the only one that's not specifically based on a movie, but someone told me that they made a short film about Momo, so now it is, I guess.
Oh,
But it
cool.
wasn't based on the movie. All the other ones are either based on a movie or a person. So
Yep. That's pretty dope. Yeah, I actually wanted to highlight some of the unique ingredients you use in some of your sauces. Actually, we'll just go over that real quick too. So I
sure.
have the oh my fucking god, Troll 2 Nod. Had to get this one in, bro. I absolutely love these wax tops. That is so
Nice.
dope, dude. I was very excited to open the box and get these, but so I like I'm gonna start by saying that habanero is definitely one of your main used peppers, and this one you
Mhm.
actually use green habaneros, and I don't see people do that very often. However, ooh, yellow reaper that I didn't see. That's super cool. But what really caught my eye, like I had talked to you about before, was the
Mhm.
KSLS, otherwise known as the King Star Lemon Starburst. Um, that's that makes me very happy, dude. As someone who loves and grows chili peppers, that's something that back when I was I had a plant for a few years. I had to actually trade the seeds with someone from like
Mhm.
the Midwest to get that. And you couldn't buy them like you can now. So like all the seeds I have are from my own harvests, and I love that you put this in a sauce because I wanted to do this years ago. Um, so
Yeah,
it's cool. It's like for anyone who hasn't had it, it's basically like a Scotch bonnet crossed with a Bahamian goat pepper. Very cool. It's shaped like a UFO. It's yellow, very prolific.
very
Um,
lemony tasting too.
yeah, they're super good. I've made pizza with it and regretted it a little bit. Um, so also we have the Della Morte.
Hmm.
Is this a Cemetery Man reference?
It
That's cool.
is.
I want to watch
Yep.
that. That looks like it's right up my alley too. But you use some pretty dope peppers in here too, man. Like we have Ghosts and Reapers, which are, they're used in many sauces, but I'll note they're the two first ingredients on the
Mhm.
bottle. Chocolate habanero, which I don't see a ton of. I don't see a
And I
ton of
actually
that.
use that in quite a few of my sauces too. It's
I
one of my
I
favorites.
love that, man. So I was talking to someone last night and she was saying like she lives in my state. And I kind of talk to people from all over. But she was saying that I haven't tried to grow them personally, but she's saying that they're very tough to grow in New Hampshire. And that's probably most likely because of the season we have here. I'm not sure what the season's like in Colorado, but I basically have to start growing peppers at the end of January inside here. I
Yeah.
assume it's same for you guys because you get tons of snow out there.
Yeah, you're not supposed to plant anything outside till after Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh
Our,
wow.
that's our normal.
Oh,
So
Joseph, you use black garlic and hibiscus in this. This actually black garlic I've used before, but hibiscus, that's very unique and that's super cool, man. Does that
yeah,
shine out at all? Like, can you
you get a
notice
little
it?
bit of the floral. So the whole kind of idea with that was to taste like a fresh Carolina Reaper in a bottle. So you
Okay.
get some floral, a little bit of fruitiness in the beginning, like you would with a Reaper, and then the heat comes in and
Hmm.
stays for a while. So that's why I did the hibiscus in that one. I use hibiscus actually in a couple of other recipes too. Sometimes for the floral, but sometimes because it makes things really pink.
Yeah.
So I actually have a hot sauce. It's out of stock right now, but it's Linnea Quigley's official hot sauce
Oh,
called
nice.
Linnea Lipstick,
Oh,
and
I love that.
I use hibiscus in this, hibiscus and raspberry, and a ton of watermelon.
Ton of
So
water. That's unique too. Yeah. I noticed you use a lot of like not very common things. I gotta note again,
right,
dude. I love these wax tops, dude, and I love that you do that. Like I had to buy two, and I think I got the last of them.
yeah, I do my NC-17 sauces in wax.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
cool, man. And I did my homework ahead of time and watched your video on how to open them too. So guys,
good,
if you buy anything from him, he has a video on how to open these without ruining the top.
right,
I don't want to
or your
ruin the
fingers,
top.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um, so that's super dope, man. If you well, like, how's like people that are into horror movies, how have they kind of like reacted to your sauces? Like, are they excited? They got to be more excited to try them, especially if they like notice it's a movie that they've seen
yeah,
and perhaps
for
an
sure.
obscure movie.
Yeah, the horror crowd is great. Just in general, the horror crowd is great. But with my sauces, the horror crowd is great because first off, the Venn diagram of people who like hot sauce and people who like horror is a really big overlap.
Yeah.
So there's that to start off with. But then when people look at it and they go, "Oh, like that's from Troll 2," and they're, it's like something I recognize that I didn't think anybody else knew,
Yeah.
or I like it when they get the really more obscure ones like Blood Diner, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I've got one called Pazuzu, and most people pick that one out from The Exorcist pretty quick.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it gets them drawn in. I like to go, and I've done a few, and I'm going to do more horror conventions where I go set up in the vendor alley of horror conventions, with my artwork as well as the hot sauce. And yeah, seeing the art draws them in, and then usually, they then have to try it, like, you
Right.
know, oh, I got to see what the hot sauce for whatever movie tastes like. So yeah,
That's
it
dope.
it definitely helps a lot. Now, on the other hand, when I'm at like farmers markets and places like that, sometimes the artwork draws people and they're like, "Oh, no, never mind." and they keep walking.
Oh,
I've had a couple people go like, "What is that?" And like, I had one old lady like give me the, death daggers
oh yeah,
stare.
like you're the
Uh,
freaking antichrist or something.
I had one shop that I was talking to about doing retail who said, "Oh, we'd like to carry your sauces, but our store is family friendly, and we're not sure how to put them on the shelf." And I'm like, "There's nothing not family friendly on my labels.
Yeah,
It's not,
there's like a
it's not a
skeleton.
Cannibal
Oh
Corpse
no.
album, you
Yeah,
know."
yeah, right, dude.
So,
It's not like you're yelling I come blood into a freaking hot sauce bottle. It's like
right. I mean, yeah, some of them have, slightly scary images, but none of them are specifically gory. None of them
right.
are, I don't think any of them are non-family friendly.
I
But
agree.
apparently, I mean, I had one person who told me she specifically avoided Momo for years because of the label.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and then she finally tried it, and now it's one of her favorites. But she didn't want to because of the label. So,
That's
yeah.
funny. Do you sell at many retailers or
I sell in a few here locally in Denver, and I'm trying to up that. But of course, when I sell retail, I'm selling much cheaper for me because I have to sell them wholesale. So the profit per bottle is way lower when I sell them retail. But getting them in more stores gets them out there where people see them. I've been at multiple events where people go, "Oh, I've seen your bottles at one of the places." So
that's pretty cool, man. Do you like I don't know, what's your like a very memorable experience when you're letting someone taste your sauce? Like any freakouts or like someone who was afraid of hot sauce and maybe was actually really into it after trying your sauce? That's
I've
got to be
had
rewarding.
both ways actually. I was at the Colorado Festival of Horror last summer, and I was talking with Tiffany Shepis there, who is Scream Queen. So if people don't know her, I mean, probably her most famous movie that she was in was Sharknado.
Okay, okay.
And she was also in the last Hatchet movie, Victor Crowley. But she's been in hundreds of things. She's Romeo and Juliet. She was Juliet.
Nice.
So I think, or was that Debbie Rochon? I don't know, years ago. But she got her start in trauma movies. Um, and we were talking, and I was telling her, I'd love to do a sauce, and for her, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't do spicy stuff." And I was like, "Well, let's just at least come try it." And she tried my Momo sauce, and I'm like, "See, that one's not too spicy; it's PG." And she was like, "No, that's really spicy." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay, great." But then she went, "Can I have some more?" And
yeah,
like that's the
that's
reaction
the
that I
best.
want. Yeah. So that was really cool. I had at another fest down in New Mexico, a guy come up and try Linnea's lipstick because she was there at that fest. So that's where we debuted it. So you could come and buy a bottle from me and then walk out in the hallway and have her sign it,
It's
which is
dope.
really neat. Um, and he was like, "That's the hottest thing I've ever had," and then ran, like literally ran away. So that was pretty cool too. So yeah, I've had to go both ways. And one of the things with my sauces that I pride myself on is their flavor first. I don't make any of
Right.
them just to burn you out. Even the really hot ones that you have should taste good.
Good.
Like that's my. So I have so many people who walk up and be like, "Oh, what's your hottest thing?" I can do the bomb, and I'm like, "Good for you, man." Like
Ugh.
I would never want to put that in my mouth, but cool. And
I
people try
have.
to do the whole macho thing, and I have to explain to them, it's like, yes, I have very hot sauces, but all of my sauces are made to actually enjoy. They're not made to be like, a
Right.
test of your strength. So,
I'm kind of always I don't know. I like eating hot stuff, but personally I prefer the flavor over the
right.
heat. And I people would buy me hot sauce sometimes and it would just be like, "Oh, this is so hot. It comes with like a mini dabber. That's all you can eat." I'm like, "Why did you buy this for me? It's gonna be sitting in my fridge forever. I
Right.
can't use this."
Yeah.
I've
I
had the
want hot
bomb.
sauce you want to use. You
I
know, it's
yeah.
it's the same way with movies. Like I have no problem with gory movies. I will
Yeah.
watch, Martyrs, but
Right, right.
I don't want to watch a movie that's gory just to be gory.
Right, right.
Like I'm not one of those people who's just like, "Ooh, look, they crushed a head, awesome."
Yeah.
Now, if that scared me, or that was funny, or that moved the plot along, cool. But like if it's just tearing people apart, I'm not into it. And same thing with
Right.
Hots. It's just tearing you apart. I'm not into it.
Right. I like
So,
to find balance between the two. And you know what? I think the movie Dead Alive is a fine balance between the
mm,
two because it's like people don't know Dead Alive is an old Peter Jackson movie and it's so freaking ridiculous. It looks like you're looking for it somewhere, but
yeah, it's really good.
but Man, it's super goofy, super campy, and also just super gory. Yes, that's it. That's it. And what's funny about the cover of that movie, dude, is it has nothing to do with the movie.
Oh yeah,
And the
so many posters and
what's
covers
the
are
other title for it? Brain Dead, I think, is the
brain
other
dead.
title for that
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah,
I
that's the
love it,
original.
dude. I actually should watch that again soon. It's so preposterous.
And that one
But
is stupid gory, but it's used for
it's
comedic effect.
right, right.
And
It's
I'm totally
funny.
fine with that. You know?
I love the priest.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Have you seen Peter Jackson's other two movies he made around that time?
What was I saw one of them and it was like about aliens. I can't remember the
Yeah,
name. Was it
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste? Yes, I've seen that one and that was pretty interesting. A little harder to watch, I think, than
Oh yeah.
just like
That
it's
was his first,
it's
so
his first
very, very
movie,
low
so it was
budget.
like very campy, very goofy, low budget. And
And then in
it's funny
between
to
that
think
one,
it's like
uh,
funny to think he's doing like what do you do? Lord of the Rings?
yeah, all the
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, King Kong, all of that. And then in between that and Dead Alive, he did a movie called Meet the Feebles, which is
I've seen
basically
that actually.
yeah,
It's like a Muppets, like raunchy Muppets, basically.
yeah,
Yeah, my buddy has that on DVD, which is an outdated term now, but hey, I love DVDs.
yeah, me too. So
So, like, do you ever, like, if you could collab with a horror movie for an official sauce, like past or present, what would it be? Like, what movie would you, if you could do an official collaboration?
I would love to do a hot sauce for Psycho Gourmand. Um, Psycho Gourmand is just one of my favorite of the last 15 years. And I think that one would be a lot of fun. I'd also love to do one for Turbo Kid,
I love Turbo
which
Kid, dude.
yeah,
That's
which
like,
again, yeah, either one of those I think would just be tons of fun.
yeah,
Honestly, like I like doing the official sauces for less known movies.
right.
So like the Troll 2 one is not an official sauce. It's just
No,
me
it's just
painting the
fun.
art because I love it. And the Pazuzu obviously not an official sauce. Warner Brothers has not sponsored me. Um, Luckily the word Pazuzu is much older than The Exorcist, so I'm not worried
Right.
about that. But like I do have, as I said, I have the official sauce for Stink of Flesh. I have the official sauce for a movie called Side Effects May Vary. I have an official sauce that will be coming out later this year for a movie called Compression and a movie called Barista. That one's about it's a coffee sauce, so we've been
Nice. Ooh,
will be fun. So I like doing that kind of collaboration with independent filmmakers, because then I can help more people see their movie, and they can help more people see my business by
yeah.
taking it with them when they have their merch tables set up, places, and things like that. So, um, for about 10 years when I was working my corporate job, I did movie reviews for low budget movies.
Yep.
So I got to meet and know a lot of different filmmakers through that, and that's where a lot of my collaborations for these has come. And then in addition, we just myself and this company called Horrid here in Denver just started a film festival, and we had our first one on March the 16th, and we're gonna have our next one May 4th. And a lot of the films for that have come from my past doing reviewing as well. So
That's dope, man.
yeah.
I just, I want to step back for a second and talk about Turbo Kid for a minute. I love that movie. A friend of mine turned me on to it, and I want to say it wasn't what I expected, and I wouldn't necessarily call it like a horror movie at all, but
Mhm.
it's dope.
Agreed.
It's like the closest thing to Mega Man and Fallout that we'll ever get.
I heard about Turbo Kid and was so interested I actually ordered it from the UK because it came out there like 9 months before it came out here, and I have a
Weird.
region free player,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is why some of this is so big, because I buy stuff from overseas that we can't get here.
Mhm.
And I loved it so much that as soon as I watched it, the next night I made my wife watch it with me. Like I had to watch it again. And I almost didn't wait till the next night. I almost just started it over. And then I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this with her tomorrow. I just fell in love with Apple the moment she comes on
Yep.
screen, and it's like she is one of my favorite characters of all time. And every time I watch it, I just have like a little crush on Apple just
Yeah.
immediately. Her
Yeah.
whole character is amazing. So
Such a
yeah,
great movie, dude. I'm
it
actually wicked happy you brought that up, dude.
is. Yeah,
Um,
and the filmmakers who made that, they actually made two movies at the same time, which I'm waiting for them to come here to the US because they're Canadian. So really looking forward to their next movies too, but I don't know when they're ever going to come out. So
it's fair.
yeah, who knows? Maybe I can get in touch with them between now and then and do an official sauce for We Are Zombies, I think is the one, and I can't remember the name of the other one. So
We Are Zombies.
I believe that's what
Um,
it's called.
is there
It's
a
been a
trailer
while since
for
I've
it?
heard of them. Yeah, they both came out at film festivals this last year. They just haven't gotten US distribution, or they haven't, if it's gotten it, it hasn't been released. I don't know. So
I wanted to actually step back again since we have the oh my fucking god sauce.
mhm.
I I'm gonna put this on the episode. I'll probably pause the episode at some point, but you actually got one of the actors to hold up a bottle of oh my god.
Oh my god! That's tasty.
Right.
Um, and it's super funny. I promptly watched that movie right after. I've seen it a million times, but it just made me want to watch it again. Yeah. Oh, he
Oh, I had him
signed
sign
it.
it afterwards. Yeah, so Darren Ewing, the oh my god guy from Troll 2, was in Colorado Springs at a film festival that I work that I sponsor called 6 Feet Under. So they brought him in and we got to watch Troll 2 on the big screen. And that's where I got him to do a little sponsorship for me. So
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, dude. I've been telling my friends at work about it. I'm like, have you seen Troll 2? And some are like, I don't know what the hell that is. And then some are like, yeah, I've seen that. I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm like, well, let me tell you a little story. And then I showed them the clip and everything, and they're like, oh, I gotta watch that. So I've been telling people I'm gonna talk to you and like what your company's all about, and they think that's super cool, man.
yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
Yeah, of course, dude. No, that's it's all about. What's your like would be like your go-to comfort or like your favorite horror movie? You just want to chill. You don't want anything too crazy. You just want to like relax and watch a horror movie, I guess, which is kind of a redundant thing to say, but
Yeah, no, I mean horror is comforting,
yeah.
especially the ones that I grew up on. Probably anything by John Carpenter,
Okay.
honestly. The Thing is my favorite horror
I
movie,
love
though
the
I don't
thing.
know that that's just a throw on and chill movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but I could put on In the Mouth of Madness, Prince of
Oh,
Darkness, or even Big Trouble in Little China, which is not horror, but
no.
any of those and just let them go. So, um, so yeah, The Thing is one of my favorites. Really enjoyed Hereditary, but again, not one to just sit and chill
Oh,
with.
that's intense,
If
dude.
yeah,
That's an intense
if I'm
movie and
doing
it's
sit
long.
and chill, it's probably going to be something cheesy from the 80s,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Um, so Blood Diner is a good one.
Yeah.
Chopping Mall, Slaughter
Chopping.
High. There's so many good ones, especially from the 80s, where you can just kind of let them play and enjoy them and not have to pay a lot of attention if you've seen them as many times as I have.
Yeah.
So
I love
yeah.
Chopping Mall, dude. What I saw that on a movie, but then Black Mirror basically like made the same thing almost, except
Oh,
for
did they
they
really?
made it kind of like because it's like Chopping Malls with the robots, right? Where they're like
Yep.
policing the mall. So like
Yep.
Black Mirror, the show did an episode about robot dogs that are like psychotic killer dogs. I don't know. It's like it's really weird. But I was watching Chopping Mall, and then that came out on Black Mirror. I'm like, yeah, Black Mirror is ripping this movie off.
Well, nothing's new. Everybody's
No,
done it before. So,
in
I mean,
in the
after,
oh man,
30 years of The Simpsons, there's definitely
right?
nothing new.
Yeah, they
So,
did it.
yeah.
Um, In the Mouth of Madness is also another crazy movie, dude. The guy from Jurassic Park's in it.
Yep.
What's his name?
Sam Neill.
Samuel. Yeah, and it's not a very well known movie, and it's so like it's bizarre. Do you read Sutter Kane? Like that's
I think it's one of his best, honestly. I think it
yeah.
should be way more well known than it is. So,
hmm
yeah.
you're of course I'm asking why or if you have, but Reanimator, also
Mhm.
another awesome movie, dude. Have you read the book or novella?
I haven't read much H.P. Lovecraft,
Yeah.
to be honest. I've consumed tons of Lovecraft films and I
Yeah.
enjoy Lovecraft mythos. I haven't read much Lovecraft, and then when I kind of found more info on his personal life, I was like,
Yeah, he's kind of
I'm
a
just gonna stick to
kind of a shitty
the
dude.
mythos.
Kind of a
Very
shitty
much
dude.
so. Yeah, very much so.
But
Um, even for his time, pretty
yeah,
shitty.
even for oh
So,
yeah, 100%. But I think like
but
for
amazing writer, amazing
yeah,
ideas,
exactly,
super cool
exactly. Like he
mythos
was
that
way ahead of his time in terms of like writing and imaginative
for
horror
sure.
and stuff. But yeah, sometimes it is kind of hard to separate the artist from the art,
Yeah,
especially when
and for
they're
this
just a
one, the nice
racist
thing is
turd.
you don't have to really, because you don't have to go read the H.P. Lovecraft stories if you don't
Right,
want to. You know
right.
what I mean? There's a million great movies. There's a million great other stories written by other authors in the same worlds. Because his stuff is old enough that it's all public. Um, you know, uh,
Like
you're
domain
not
or
gonna get
some.
sued. So um, and I love Stuart Gordon. He was my introduction to Lovecraft. I
Mhm.
grew up. He was one of my favorites that I would watch on TV all the time. Like I don't remember if it was HBO or Showtime, but one of them obviously bought the entire Full Moon catalog. So you would see Full Moon movies all the time. So Robot Jocks, not horror, but Stuart loved that one. But Hit the Pendulum and Castle Freak and Reanimator
Yep.
and From Beyond, all Stuart Gordon, H.P. Lovecraft, and that's where I got my love for his stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's dope. Yeah. Have you ever made a hot sauce that you think is too scary for people to try? Or have you just like made a batch of your own hot sauce and be like, oh, I really need to tone this down?
I've toned down sauces before, especially, because when I'm coming up with a sauce, I usually kind of have an idea of what I want before I
Right.
get started. It used to be, or still is a lot, that a lot of my sauces came from I wanted a certain color, but
Mhm.
then I also want a certain heat level. So I've had times where it's like I'm shooting for a PG-13 sauce, and then I taste it and I'm like, that's not PG-13. Definitely got to cut that back some. Um, I haven't ever made a sauce where it's so hot that I'm like, I'm not gonna release this. Because I mean, people are always, that's the first thing they ask me is, what's your hottest sauce? So when
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
at
some
events,
shock
I would
jocks.
say, yeah, every third person probably is like, what's your hottest? That's the one I want to try. All right. So go ahead.
Yeah.
But Del Norte, first batch I made commercial sized, burnt my skin. So
Wow.
I
That's
went to take
fun.
the gloves off, and like, I did it with my gloved hand and then the other one. And then a couple minutes later, I was like, what is up with my wrist? And I had a
Yeah.
large red mark for about 45 minutes of
Good
just,
old
it was
capsaicin
like a sunburn.
burns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten that in my fingernails. I've
Mhm.
done that all over, just being an idiot cutting super hots with the knife without wearing gloves. And
Yeah, I do that too, but you really shouldn't.
I know.
But you know what? Even with
You're like,
gloves,
oh,
almost every time I make sauce, I
my
end up with
finger
some in
doesn't
my
have to
eye.
touch the oil. It's
Yeah,
like, and
right.
then it does.
You think you can be careful enough, but you really can't.
Yeah, right. So what's next for you, man? What's coming up down the pipeline here?
Um, so the big thing is my film fest. It's a recurring Sunday matinee film fest here in Denver. We're doing it every 1 to 2 months. So the first one we just did back on the 16th, we featured a movie called Adam the Amazing Zombie Killer, which is streaming on Troma now to give you an idea of what type of
Nice.
film we're talking about. And then we did an hour's worth of short films, a couple blocks of trivia, some giveaways. So it was a fun time. We're doing that every couple months. So I'm going to be doing that again May 4th, showing a movie I actually worked on called Gimme Skelter.
Nice.
Um, that movie stars Gunnar Hansen, who played the original Leatherface.
Oh,
Uh,
sick.
yeah, he was so much fun to work with. And Trent Haga, who wrote Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger Part 4, and is in, I mean, he's Killjoy, the killer clown in
Yep.
all except for the very first Killjoy movie. So it's got a couple of, bigger names in it. And it's pretty much not been seen outside of Albuquerque because it was made there by the director Stink of Flesh.
Yep.
It premiered there. It had two small DVD runs, one of which was pretty much local, and one was like if you went to a website, you could buy it. But I think they only made a couple hundred DVDs in each of those runs. So
Oh, wow.
it's really not seen. So I'm really excited to be able to show it because first off, I want people to see Gunnar Hansen do some acting. He's not the bad guy in this movie. He's not
Oh,
scary.
interesting.
It's scary, but he's not the big bad guy. He's,
Okay.
a member of this town. So the story is a guy who thinks he's the illegitimate son of Charles Manson has found a tiny town in New Mexico, and him and his family are going to kill the whole town in one night.
Oh, well.
And the movie takes place on starting the afternoon of that day.
That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah. So Gunner is just a townsperson. He's just a guy who lives there. He's not a bad guy. So you really get to see him do some acting, which is cool. He even wrote about it in his autobiography, saying that, it was one of the best, very low budget movies he's ever done because the writing was good and the characters were, made you feel for him. And most of all, it's scary, which I think it is. I mean, it's a fun movie. And it's going to be a 180 in tone from our first one because the first one, like I said, is very trauma,
Yeah.
very campy, gory, and offensive, and all that sort of stuff that you
Yep.
expect from that type of film. Where this one is very much more, like I would say, if it had a better budget and people behind it, it could have been like a Paul Thomas Anderson type film
Okay.
that happens to have a lot of stabbings in it. So because it's got like multiple stories of like you've got a guy who's trying to get out of this town, and it's him and his girlfriend and their, life, and then you've got the family, and then you've got like the town cop, and then you've got Gunnar Hansen's character. So it's all these like kind of vignettes of life in this small town on the day that somebody came to kill everybody. So
That sounds
um,
dope. I,
yeah,
I
so I'm
want to
really
see it,
excited to
man.
show that.
Yeah, I want to see
Yeah, well,
that.
I
It
wish you
sounds good.
could. That's the problem, is
Yeah.
it's not available. The producer who owns the rights is trying to get it remastered so it could potentially be released on Blu-ray, but it was shot on digital video back in the mid 2000s. So
Oh,
like
okay.
it has to be remastered. Nobody's gonna,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
gonna
it's
look like a
just not,
blob on screen.
it looks okay, but it could look so much better,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
especially for people who are used to, 4K, like,
Right. Right.
having something that looks like 28 days later is just not the aesthetic people are used to,
Yeah.
so so he's trying to get it remastered and get it re-released, and I'd love to see it out there. Actually, part of me doing this is I want to try to collect some money to see if anybody, hey, did you like that movie? Would you actually like to see it? Here's how you can do it.
Right.
So we'll see about that.
Maybe someone will watch this and want to do it. I don't know. That'd
Who
be dope.
knows? That would be
Um,
great.
let's go. That you mentioned Toxic Avenger. How do you feel about the remake coming up? Or it's not a
I'm excited
remake.
to see it.
I saw a trailer the other day, dude, and it looked pretty awesome. I love that Peter Dinklage is Toxie in it.
Yeah, and Macon Blair directed it,
Yeah.
who has a serious love of trauma movies
Yeah.
and has done some amazing acting and some decent directing as well. So, if for anybody who doesn't know Macon Blair, he is Patrick Stewart's right hand man in Green Room, earning his red laces. He also directed a couple movies for Netflix that were pretty decent. Can't remember the name of them off the top of my head. Really long names, like something something at the end of the world. But anyway, he is a good filmmaker. He's worked with Jeremy Saulnier, who did Green Room, and a bunch of his projects. So, and just knowing that he actually has a love for the original, it's not like they've wanted to redo Toxie a few times over the years, and like the first one was after the Toxic Traders cartoon, and it was just money, it was
Yeah,
just
money grab.
money off of it. And then I know there was another, they talked about it, years later, and again, it sounded like the studio was just there to, here's something we could make some money off of.
Yeah.
So hearing that Peter Dinklage is in it, and the people that were involved in the making of it, I'm excited to see it. To be honest, so Toxic Avenger is one of the movies that made me want to make movies, but I'm not a huge trauma fan overall.
Right.
Um, there's Lloyd Kaufman's films that he makes himself. I generally enjoy, though I think he goes over the top more than I want for my personal.
100%.
I could do without the shit jokes. He's got them in
Yeah.
every movie,
Yeah, he does.
just my personal thing.
It's very
Um,
trauma thing.
Yeah. So I'm not a huge trauma fan, but I'm a huge fan of trauma in so much as they've been 40 plus years now, almost 50 years now, I think, making independent movies by themselves for low amounts of money, and then distributing movies that people make by themselves. Like, while I don't enjoy a lot of their product, I really enjoy their aesthetic, and I really enjoy,
Right.
like, I'm really a big fan of Lloyd Kaufman and Troma because of it.
Yeah.
So
I would comment the same thing pretty much. I do like their aesthetic a lot, and also I think their practical effects are pretty funny, and
yeah.
I enjoy. But some I hate to say it, I'm not trying to insult them. If he ever listens to this, probably not. But uh, I have a hard time sitting through some of those movies sometimes because it's like, okay, I get it, I'll watch it. But
Right.
I like Toxic Avenger a lot. It's just a classic, man, and I am totally
That was
pumped
one
for
of the
the
movies that
remake.
ruined me as a kid. So
Yeah.
it would have to be before I was 13 because it was before I moved out of Utah. One of my friends rented
Yep.
it from Blockbuster one night, and his dad didn't know what we were renting. So he was just like,
Huh.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
So we were
sure.
probably 11 or 12. And yeah, once that kid's head got run over, I was just not the same.
Yeah.
So,
Dude,
yeah.
my brother used to torture me when I was little, and I've grown to love it though. Like he would play Evil Dead for me and stuff,
Oh,
like Evil
nice.
Dead 1, 2. I don't think Army of Darkness. I don't think he had Army of Darkness at the time. But obviously I've seen it. I love it. And what else would he play? Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Freaking
Mhm.
ridiculous movie. Um, I watched it recently. I'm like, wow, this movie kind of sucks, but it's awesome. Um,
I like
and
the clowns a lot.
it's so good, dude. Like I'm just like that. I don't know. Um, um, what else? It, the original like made for TV movie, which is
Mhm.
classic. I think
Mhm.
anyone could get down with that movie. The remakes are okay, I guess, but I prefer the classic with Tim
I agree.
Curry.
Yeah, the
Like
remakes are not bad, but
they're okay.
Tim
Yeah,
Curry,
it's hard
you
to
can't.
beat. He's just like, I don't know, man. You have Prince Albert in a can, like, oh, that shit's funny, dude.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess it's time to try some hot sauce, dude. I have it right in front
Yeah.
of me. I've been looking at it for the past like 45 minutes. We're gonna start with the monolith yellow. I think it's the least hot one you gave me so far. I could be mistaken, but I don't
What's the
care
other
if it's
one
hot
that's
or
not
not.
wax?
It is buffet
Oh,
fresh
buffet. Yeah. Yeah.
sauce.
Monolith yellow would be the best one to start with then.
All
It's
right, cool.
PG-13.
And I thank you for having perforated tops.
Yeah. And then just keep in mind with all of my sauces, like I said, they don't have anything to keep them from separating. So you got to give them a good shake before
Yeah,
you use them. I've
it's
had
only
people,
customary.
yeah. And I've had people look at them and they're like, why is there this clear stuff on top? And I'm like, that's the vinegar. When you don't put in an
Mhm.
emulsifier, it's going to separate over
Yep.
time. So,
Separation is natural, y'all. And let's try to get a good view on that monolith yellow. I'm going to go over the ingredients one more time. Ryan only uses minimal amounts of ingredients, and you can read every single thing on his bottles. So, all right. Mango, manzano, and habanero peppers, lemon, brine, apple cider, and white wine vinegars. So, give another little shake. I got the trusty old sauce spoon here, nice and shiny and clean. It's
so
customary.
yeah, for Monolith with their name, I had to figure out a horror reference. And since I was doing multiple of them, I'm trying to figure out multiple horror references to go with Monolith. And I ended up choosing Hellraiser.
Hell
So
yeah.
Monolith Red has the Pillar of Souls from part three. And then Monolith Yellow that you've got there has the monolith that is Leviathan, the god of hell, over
So
the
sick.
labyrinth. So
Dude, this smells fantastic, bro.
thank you.
I've had a lot of mango habanero sauces in the past, and this smells definitely way different than most of them. This smells very mango forward, actually.
It is. The habanero is more of an afterthought in this one. Now, my sauce, the burning, is my mango habanero
Mm.
sauce. That's where I'm going for that orange, that flavor that you expect from mango habanero. This one, like I said, was originally the sauce Momo, which is
Oop.
just mangoes, brine, and vinegar. But then to make it a little bit different from Monolith, we added the lemon, and we added the habanero to make it a little bit hotter. So
Ooh. I have a nice big spoon of it. That's really good, man. It's definitely spicy right off the bat. It's making my nose tingle.
now I mentioned this earlier. Manzano peppers actually have a cousin of capsaicin in them that hit some people differently.
Hmm.
So that one may be hotter for you than other people if you're one of those people that have that gene. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. If you look it up, it has what's called dihydrocapsaicin, which all peppers have, but in most peppers, it's a very small amount, 10 to 20% of the overall capsaicin. In that Manzano and its family of peppers, it's more than 50% dihydro versus regular
Hmm.
capsaicin. And again, I've noticed over the years of doing this that I think about 10% of the population seems to have a gene where that dihydrocapsaicin hits them differently. Because I've had people tell me my PG sauce Momo is hotter than my R-rated sauces, and it's that Manzano hitting them.
I
So
love that, dude. I can't even describe it. It's like you can smell the mango, but like you were saying, it's like an afterthought.
the lemon, I think, comes forward a
Yeah,
lot in the
actually, yes,
beginning,
it does. Yeah, it does.
and
100%.
then you get
It's like
the
zesty.
kind of sweet mango on the way out. So
Do my third spoon, trusty spoon. I love it, dude. What
thanks.
would you eat this with?
So both this and Momo, I'm always told fish tacos or fish, period. I'm not a fish
Okay.
person,
Neither.
but that I like them both. Honestly, one of my favorite things to do with all my sauces is just like charcuterie, like a good cracker and some sharp cheddar and a little bit of sauce.
Okay.
Uh, but they can go in so many things. Like while they seem kind of odd combinations of flavors, they work in a lot of stuff. So that one works great in like anything chicken. I've
Mhm.
had chicken marinated in it before. You know, tacos it'll work on if you like a little bit sweeter of a sauce. So anything you want some
Food
sweet
tacos.
heat, ice
Chicken
cream.
tacos. Chicken tacos.
Yeah. Vanilla
Hmm.
ice cream works too.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting combo. So we're
I
gonna
actually
move.
like my Pazuzu sauce the best for ice cream, but yeah.
I think now I want to try the oh my fucking god.
Okay.
Um, so again we'll go over the ingredients just to refresh the crowd here. So we got green habanero, green jalapeno, King Star lemon starburst, manzano again, and yellow reaper. What does it say? Chitoy tomatillo? It's a chitoy.
That's a Mexican squash.
Oh, okay. And garlic, which you would fermented and roasted, and black. Nice. Lemon, brine again, apple cider vinegar and white wine vinegar, brown sugar and lime juice. Since this is a wax top, and let's flash that cool logo again. That's dope. I have to take out my trusty blade. Oh. And you say like the best is to cut around the base, right?
If you're trying to save the wax, yeah, I would find where the bottom of the cap is and cut right along that kind of line on the bottom of the cap.
I think
Don't
this
cut
is
your
it.
finger off.
Oh yeah, as I most do.
So this is a version of my sauce OMG, which is my Verde sauce, which is PG. So on the other end of the spectrum. But when I found out that 6 Feet Under was going to have Darren here and we were going to watch Troll 2 on the big screen, I had
Yeah.
to make another version of
Had
it.
to
So
step it up.
yeah, so OMFG takes all of the serranos out of my other sauce and replaces it with habaneros, and then adds the KSLS and the Reaper to kick it up some. So
Here we go. Like finally getting through the wax. This knife kind of stinks.
yeah,
And
bottle wax is thick. So
sorry, I have different blades. Right. Let's see. What do I got here? I have one that's actually really shiny, but trusty blade 2. There
and
we
for anybody out there who doesn't want to go through the wax, I do offer these bottles unwaxed
He
as well.
does.
For a buck less, just because of the less work and time and money for the wax. And I know some people like them, they want the wax because it looks cool, which that's me. I always would want the
Yep.
wax. But some people just want to get into the bottle. So I've had some people buy one of each, and I'm assuming they're keeping one on a shelf somewhere. I don't know.
There it
So,
is.
all right. Nice,
Or-
clean. Yep.
Na, 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 na. So dope. And I can actually just keep the wax on that
Yep.
too.
Yep.
And still on the bottom. Nice clean cut. All right. Take
So
that
this one
off.
is gonna have, like I said, your verde type sauce, but it kind of kicks off right after that with a
Good.
strong chunk of heat.
Let's very
It's
close it
not the
up.
longest
All
lasting heat of my sauces, but you'll definitely feel it. So
right, cool. No, I just forgot. Shake it. Shake it.
yes, please.
Oh my fucking god. Guys, watch Troll 2 if you haven't. It's a riot. I watched it again last week for the millionth time. Ooh,
Before
this
we
smells
watched it
bomb.
on the big screen, I rewatched Best Worst Movie,
Yep.
which is a
Yeah.
movie about Troll 2, which is amazing. And then found out that Darren, the Oh My God guy, actually was behind the camera for a lot of that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that till he mentioned it. So
He still does a little acting, I think.
he just recently started acting again. He took a break for a bunch of years and has recently started up again. So who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and get him in one of my films. I'm
That would
thinking
be
of maybe
dope.
distant future here.
All right.
That one is a
This,
bit thicker.
it's a thickie, but I got plenty on my trusty sauce spoon, and I won't spill it
There
on my
you go.
desk like I do every episode. All right. Yeah. Woo! That's really tasty. Right off the
Thank you.
bat, I can taste the KSLS in it, actually. It has a very distinct flavor.
Yeah, if you know it. I think
Yeah, it's very like citrusy.
Mhm. And I actually reduced the amount of lemon I use in that because I put the KSLS in
Yeah.
it, and I want to get more of the lemon flavor from that than from actual lemons.
Brew. Woo! That's hot. Brown sugar.
It is.
I'm trying to. There's another very distinct flavor in here, and I'm trying to pick it out. Come on.
Might be the black garlic.
Yeah, it's got to be. I love black garlic so much, dude. I make a hot sauce with it.
That's one of my recurring ingredients you'll see in a lot of my sauces: manzano, chocolate habanero, black garlic. So
Yeah, it is the black garlic. I can taste the black garlic and the KSLS a whole bunch. I was expecting it to be more like a typical verde sauce. It's really not.
yeah,
And I actually appreciate that because a lot of verdes can taste the same.
they do.
This
And if
is
that's
good.
what you're looking for, cool.
It's fine. Yeah.
So like I said, it originally started as OMG, and my idea with OMG is I wanted a verde that was a little bit different. So I used jalapenos and serranos, like everybody does. I used some manzano because my sauces use that a lot, and usually when I get a box of 8 pounds, I'll have a few green ones in there. So I
Right.
just set aside the green ones for OMG. But then I wanted the black garlic in there because that's not something I'd seen in the verde sauce, and I wanted the fermented lemon in there because after I made one with yellow, I just love that fermented lemon flavor. So yeah. And that one is PG. The OMG is PG versus OMFG, which you just had is NC-17.
And
Because I do rate my sauces with MPAA
yeah,
ratings.
I noticed that. I love that.
And just like them, it's very arbitrary. I just decide. So
I love that. Oh no, that's really good. And it is hot. It's like dancing on my tongue. Is
yeah, that one
definitely
will
the
last for a little
sign.
bit. Not as long as Della Morte will, but it's
Okay.
gonna.
I was gonna do
gonna
that one last. So I'm gonna let this fade on for a second. We all know water does nothing for heat, and it's not the heat.
Right.
I'm just trying to cleanse my palate. I don't care about the heat that much. Buffet for Shitar is our next one. It's a reference to Blood Diner, and you can see he's got Shitar right there. Movies, from what I watched, is hilarious.
It's great. And one of the awesome things about Blood Diner that I always like to tell people is it's one of the few horror movies in the 80s directed by a woman.
Yeah.
You just
Oh,
don't
really?
see that all that often. Yeah,
Okay.
Jackie Kong wrote and directed that back in a time where, it's tough to be anything but an actress as a woman
Is
in
she in
Hollywood.
that? Is she in that movie? Is she in it?
She's not in the movie.
No,
No, she's just the
she just
director.
directed it.
Yep. At least I
So,
don't think I'm not aware of her being in the movie anywhere. So
cool. So the peppers and the ingredients for this one, guys, Manzano. That's pretty much a mainstay in all variant sauces, from what I noticed.
not all, but it's probably in
Most,
more than it's not.
most one.
So yeah.
Red jalapeno, which I love that you use. Red jalapenos are probably my favorite. They're hard to get commercially. You can't just buy them at the store. They take a long time to ripen, which is why. Um, so that's dope. There's another red jalapeno sauce I have, and I love it. I'm excited to try this.
That's one
Um,
of my bases I use, and almost all my red sauces probably have a bunch of red jalapeno in them.
it's amazing. I
So
love that, dude. It's one of my favorite things is over the summer I grow jalapenos and I love picking them in
mm,
when they're red and when they're green
right,
too, but I love letting them turn red and they're just
yeah,
sweet and hot and the best.
yeah, right peppers. I'm generally not a fan of green peppers, though they have their place.
Yeah, a
But
little too
I'm
vegetal.
definitely much more of a fan of, yeah, exactly, of the letting them ripen, no matter what variety it is you're talking about.
Red
So
habanero, carolinareaper, plums and blackberries, which I had mentioned earlier. I found that to be really unique. Brine, red and white wine vinegars. So this is pretty good. Shake, little shake, 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 shake. And then also we'll splash the art one more time because it's pretty dope. Oh, my camera's going crazy. Yeah, it's like looking for
that's the
my
first one
face.
that I've changed the art on. Originally, it was Uncle Anwar's brain in a jar.
Oh, nice,
And
dude.
then Shitar was kind of hidden in the background, and I just decided, no, I really wanted to focus on Shitar.
Yeah,
So
Uncle Anwar is pretty cool too, but what if, dude? So I wanted an, I don't know if it was just like me tripping out or something, but I feel like they dubbed that movie over. I was
I wouldn't be
watching.
surprised.
Yeah, it looks
So
like they had dubbed over a lot of the like voices,
I wouldn't be surprised. A
especially the
lot of low
Egyptian
budget movies,
cop.
that's not uncommon.
Yeah,
It's hard to get sound that's
yeah,
good
right.
when filming. So a lot of times they'll just do the dubbing over the top. And then
Um,
sometimes it's because your actor is horrible and you have to dub over his voice.
It's
So
true. It's like in one of the Evil Dead movies, they like dub a random voice at some point of Bruce Campbell. I forget what he says. It's like look out or something dumb.
yeah. Well, in Cannibal the Musical, there's a guy who comes up and he tells you, "You're doomed. You're all doomed." And that guy was so bad that Trey Parker dubbed his voice. So that's actually Trey Parker doing the voice of that
Dude,
guy when he's
I love that.
yeah.
You must have seen Orgasmo
Oh, of course.
then.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Mhm.
This smells wicked interesting.
That
I
one I
can
think has a
smell.
really nice like umami to it. And it's definitely not as sweet as you would expect for being plum and blackberry.
No, it smells like a fine wine. And I'm,
It actually does have kind of a red wine
it
type
does. It does.
flavor to it. Um, and yeah, as you mentioned, I like using different vinegars in my
Yeah.
sauces. I don't like just the plain white vinegar. Like if I'm going to put vinegar in there, which I have to do, I want it to add flavor. So,
Right. Yeah. You want every like component to,
mhm,
you know,
yeah.
be present but not take over. All right, let's try this one. Weird. It's good. I can taste the I can taste the berries and stuff, but it's not sweet.
Right.
Um, the vinegar shines through. It's thick like the other one. How much stuff do you strain out of your sauces? None?
None.
None?
I don't
Cool.
strain my sauces.
I like
The
that.
ones that are thinner because I use more watery
Okay.
ingredients. So
It's hot, but I honestly think the Oh My Fucking God was hotter.
yeah, it
Um,
should be because that one's
by far.
NC-17 versus
Yeah,
this one's R. So
yeah. And then again, yeah, this is our good for pirates. Um, do another spoon of that. It reminds me. All right. So I know it's not an ingredient in there, but so there's a hot sauce company from, I want to say Connecticut or maybe New York. I think they're from Connecticut. They use hops in their
Mm.
hot sauce, and it kind of has that like taste of hops, even though it's not in there. But it's like hops has a little bit of a bite to it. Like when
Mm.
you go and drink a beer, it has like that's what this kind of reminds me of, but in hot sauce. This is actually I like this better than theirs. It's not as offensive. Um, the
I actually
flavors will
plan on
be good.
making a hopped hot sauce eventually.
Yeah,
That's something that's been on my list for a long time.
I want to. I almost want to put this on ribs, dude.
Mm.
I
It'd
feel
be
like
good on
this would be.
barbecue.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be good to like glaze some ribs with this or pork or something. I don't really eat a ton of pork, but I'd like to with this. Like, there's a couple sauces I have that I think would really make that shine out. That's so
Mm.
good.
I do
That's
pork
so
tenderloin
interesting, dude.
a decent amount, and pork tenderloin is something I use that on. I'll just dip it in there.
Oh
So
man,
I also like it on pizza a lot.
I
And then
can
one
see
of my
that.
favorite things to do is I make baked nachos. And I'll just do like, my thing of nachos, and I'll do
Mhm.
4 different sauces on 4 different corners. So I get like a whole experience.
The four
Not
corners,
so hot, something real hot. So
dude. That's really good.
thanks.
Moving on to Delamorte, which he says is the hottest one I bought from him.
Yeah. That
uh,
one's in my top 3 hottest sauces, I think.
okay.
So
So good thing I saved it for last. My camera's going crazy, but there it is. Delamorte. There's like this like crazy skeleton dude. It's a reference for, was it Cemetery Man? Cemetery
Cemetery
Man?
Man,
Yeah.
or Delamore della Morte, as it's known in Italian, which
So
means
it's an
of death. So I
Italian
took the
horror
L there.
movie. Is it really poorly dubbed in English?
It's like many Italian horror movies. The English speaking actors spoke English and the Italian speaking actors spoke Italian. So it's
Okay.
only half dubbed. So if you ever watch an Italian horror movie and you're wondering why, you're like, oh, is this dubbed? Oh, maybe it's
Oh,
not. I'm kind of confused because
oh,
that's the way they would shoot them.
okay. Okay.
Is because they knew they were making them for the international market, and they knew they were going to have to dub it in English anyway. So that way, at least each print, they only had to pay to dub half of it.
That's
So
funny.
yeah.
Economically smart. Another wax coat on the
Yep.
camera.
Yeah. All my NC-17 ones pop in some wax. So
So dope, dude. Oh man, I had to have it. I had to have it, man. I'm a sucker. You got me, bro. You got me,
and
man.
if you've never seen Cemetery Man, I highly recommend it. It's Rupert Everett playing the caretaker of a local cemetery in a small town in Italy, where everybody who gets buried there comes back to life 5 days later, and he has to kill them and put them back in the grave. And
What?
that's just part of his job.
He's
It's
crazy.
also a comedy and a romance.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
That's
um,
funny.
it's ridiculous. It's one of my favorite movies. And yeah. Oh, that one came off nice and clean.
Yeah, I got a better blade for that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, like I said, the idea with this was I really wanted to kind of capture the flavor of a Carolina Reaper. It does use as much Ghost as Reaper, but
Yeah.
in the flavor itself, that's what I was going for.
So should I be horrified? Nah. Everything you have has been very flavorful and hot, but mostly flavorful. So I
Well,
appreciate it, man.
that's the idea.
Oh, another thickie. They're all thick because you don't strain.
I
I'm
don't
kind
strain, but I do have some sauces that are thinner. Like my sauce Pazuzu is made with watermelon and prickly pear, so it ends up a lot thinner just because the fruit has a lot of liquid in it. So
smells hot.
yeah,
I take a
it
big
does.
spoon of it. All right. Here we go.
And the thing I like about Delamorte is it gets hot and then it keeps getting hot, and then it keeps getting hot, and then it stays hot.
Boy,
But
it's
hopefully you
weird.
got the flavor up front.
Oh, I did. I did. It's almost smoky, but you don't use
Mhm.
anything smoke.
There's nothing smoked in it, but
No,
it does
but
kind
it does have that
of,
like smokiness to it.
yeah.
I like that. Well, this would be good on some nachos too, actually.
I like all of them on nachos. I actually made myself a grilled cheese sandwich yesterday that I topped with that. So
It's not a bad idea either.
yeah, technically a
Damn, man.
crook because I was making it all fancy and stuff. So in between the grilled cheese sandwich and the eggs, put some Della
Shit.
Morte.
It's
So-
hot. It's hot. Having my second spoon. I usually try to do 2 or 3 spoons, depending on how hot stuff is. But I think I'll keep this one at 2.
Yeah.
It's spicy, but
For people who are like pepperheads, none of my sauces are gonna blow you away.
no.
For the
but
average person, I've been
yeah.
told they skew hot across.
Yeah. This
all of them.
someone who's not in eating like hot food probably would want to stay away from this.
Yeah.
It's spicy. I'm about it, obviously, like with hot food, but wow, dude, holy crap!
I'm
I
guessing
love
it's
it.
probably still getting hotter.
It's there. I don't know. There's something about me where like not much gets hotter for me, right? There's a couple sauces I've had that knocked me on my ass, and it's just because that's all they're about. Not very fun.
I like to play with the different peppers
Yeah.
I put in because
Yeah.
I like sauces that aren't all one note, like just hit you and then it's over. Like I
Yeah.
like to use some lower heat peppers for kind of a slow. I like to use like ghosts because they take a while to kick in.
Mhm.
You know, I like habanero because they're pretty right up front heat, like as soon as you eat them.
Yeah,
So
you
that one,
get all the
Ghost and
layers.
Reapers, it lasts a while and it
Yeah.
builds a while for most people. So
It's on my tongue. Ooh,
yeah.
it's hot, bro. Most
Yeah, the
most
MC17
people
sauces don't play around. So
most people that are into hot sauces, you know, like that one. I like it. I'm probably gonna do some like wings. So, I'm trying to get back
and that's the
into
other
it.
thing is I use all of them for his wings, just about.
Yeah,
So.
I usually get like a few buddies together and we do a wing night. So what I was planning on starting to do with the show is recording that because
Cool.
I line up all the hot sauces and we choose one, you know, toss it, discard it. You know, we eat it and then discard it and then choose the next one. So we never have the same one twice.
Yeah.
And I've done stuff where I've rolled like set up numbers and rolled a 20-sided die to like pick hot or not. You don't know what you're going to get. So I want to do something like that and record it. So don't be surprised if I put an episode out and your sauces are in it again.
I'd like to see what other people think of it. I'm always
yeah,
down.
man.
Woo.
Oh, yeah. So got me cheering up, bro. That's good. It's not murdering me. It doesn't make me like hate myself for eating it. I just ate some pretty hot sauces at once, but it's definitely spicy. Probably stay away from it. If you're really low on the heat scale, guys, can endure a little heat. Go for like a PG-13 sauce from him. Monolith Yellow is a great example of that. That's what I started with. It's fantastic. All of them are. They're all unique. I got the birds now.
Woo! Sometimes that sauce will do that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, little good old Mr. Sippy, you know.
Right.
So where can we find you, Ryan?
Horrifyinghotsauce.com. That's the easiest place to find me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Blue Sky and Threads as Horrifying Hot Sauce. So just at Horrifying Hot Sauce in any of those socials. But horrifyinghotsauce.com, you can order. I ship nationwide. So, you know, you can order the sauces there and I ship them out. I do discounts on getting 4 or 6 bottles. So, you know, if you want to put together a sample pack like what you got there, 10% off once you get to that 4th bottle. So you can do that. And I run various sales and stuff.
Cool.
And then here in Denver, Denver's Horror Shop is where they carry all of my sauces all the time. And then that's also their event space. Creepatorium is where we do our film festival. So that's May 4th for the next one at Creepatorium. And then again, like I said, you can go to Horror and get all the sauces, but I'll also be there with all the sauces. And
yeah.
I'm trying to make special sauces for each movie. So we'll have a special Gimme Skelter sauce at that one too.
It's pretty dope. If you guys are there in the area, you should definitely stop by and check it out. I liked every sauce I tried today. They're all unique. He uses great ingredients. fresh ingredients, no BS. Thank you so much for coming on, Ryan. You've been a pleasure, man. It's really nice
Thanks
to
for
meet
having
you.
me.
Of course, dude. Thanks. This time around, I decided to do some nachos with Monolith Yellow from Horrifying Hot Sauce. Cooked up some ground beef with onions, garlic, chilies, and seasoning. I layered up my nachos and covered them with queso, pico de gallo, sour cream, scallions, and cheese. I then drenched the nachos with Monolith Yellow. The sauce is a very fruit-forward mango habanero sauce, but for being so packed with fruit, it is not sweet like you'd expect. The fermentation really smooths things out, and manzano peppers really add an extra depth to this sauce. I enjoyed it. I think I'd love to use it on tacos. It's very complex, actually far more complex than I had expected. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and be sure to stay tuned for more fire and flavor. Peace out.